Good morning, everyone. My name is Gayatri Rameez, and I am part of the admissions team at Great Lakes. First of all, I would like to thank you all for joining our family business and entrepreneurship webinar. Well, today's webinar is divided into two segments. In the first segment, Mr. Hari will share his journey from Great Lakes to launching his own venture, and he will also share along with how he manages balancing both his family business and his own venture. Professor Raj will share some insight about family business and entrepreneurship, and towards end we will have Q&A session where you can ask questions if you have. So before we dive in, let me briefly introduce you to our fantastic speakers. Today we have with us Dr. Raj Krishnan Shankar, our PGPM Program Director and Associate Professor of Strategy and Entrepreneurship at Great Lakes Institute of Management. Dr. Raj Shankar is a distinguished national award-winning entrepreneurship educator, and he is also regarded as a teacher, mentor, and advisor. He has been appointed as a national entrepreneurship expert by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, and has undertaken various global missions. Dr. Raj has designed, delivered management, and delivered development programs for CXO and executive levels, and teaches entrepreneurship courses across Asia, America, and Europe. Prior to joining Great Lakes, he served as an associate professor of entrepreneurship at Nord University, Norway. He is a globally recognized scholar with publications in top FT journals, including Entrepreneurship Theory and Practice, Journal of Business Venturing, Journal of Management Studies, and Strategic Entrepreneurship Journal. Additionally, he has authored multiple books, book chapters, and case studies. And at Great Lakes, Dr. Raj teaches strategic entrepreneurship courses to our MBA students and corporate executives. And he also takes qualitative research methods to our PhD scholars. Joining us well is Mr. Hari Shukla, a 2019 alum of Great Lakes, Gurgaon. Hari brings his broad experience across various industries, coupled with his education at Great Lakes to lead a Nectar Superfoods. His company specializes in food sourcing, technology, marketing, and exporting freeze-dried foods and ingredients. So, without any further delay, I would request Dr. Raj to take this webinar forward. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Gayatri, for a kind introduction. So before we dive into to talking with Hari, it's always nice to talk to entrepreneurs. So before we get to that, let me take a few minutes to set the context of what we're trying to do here and why we have Hari with us, so that you can derive maximum value out of this interaction. First and foremost, this whole idea of family business. For a long time, family business was always thought of in a very conservative sense. There are these little businesses doing niche things, and then there are very large enterprises. That's about it. But if you have been watching the recent reports from top consulting houses, research houses, and also the amount of attention family businesses are getting in the economy, you realize how important they are for the strength of our economy. So one little statistic which we shared in our last webinar as well is that almost close to about 80-85% of our industry is actually led or owned by family businesses. So it's a misnomer that they are not, the professional businesses are what actually lead a lot of society. Interestingly, almost 80-85% of society industry is actually led by families and family governed, family owned, family run businesses. And therefore, family businesses become an important constituent for the future of this country. Interesting fact is also that by 2047, we are expecting that this will be close to about 85% of the nation's GDP, contributing to jobs, contributing to growth. So therefore, it's important for us to understand this sort of business. And that is what we're trying to do here. Today's topic of interest, and I understand that family business is a very large canvas. It's a very complex form of business enterprise. But we're picking up little topics in every webinar. In today's webinar, we wanted to discuss a little bit about how do family business entrepreneurs, if I can call them, how do they balance growth and sustainability? And when we mean growth and sustainability here, we are talking a lot about, how do you manage trying to run an enterprise that's been running for a very long time. It has its own set of traditions, practices, values, etc. And then you, as an entrepreneur, bring fresh insight, fresh thought to this enterprise, and then you want to diversify, you want to grow, so you want to experiment, you want to do things that probably were not done before. So how do you balance growth and sustainability in an enterprise like this? So that's the focus of our discussion today. And what sort of strategies do entrepreneurs use, to balance this when they are actually trying to scale an enterprise? And I think we have Mr. Hari, a very interesting case in point, if I can call it. So instead of you just reading a case, you're going to be listening to a live case, a person who's been through the Great Lakes system, who studied with us, who went on to work for a few years, took the plunge into family business, and then is also, taken the family business to a new area through an unrelated diversification by starting a new enterprise. So it'd be very interesting to hear how he manages to do all of this while staying true to the family values and promoting, responsible practices. So this is the larger agenda for our discussion. So we'll spend the next 30 minutes or so discussing with Hari. And if you have any questions in this interim, you hear something that you want to know more about, please key in your questions into our Q&A box, and we will try to answer as many of that we can before we end this webinar. So welcome, Hari. It's always nice talking to an entrepreneur, especially if you are an alumni, even better.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Raj. First of all, let me thank you and the entire Great Lakes team. It is always good to be back, and good to be back to the alma mater, and then contributing in any way possible, because when we were there, the true value came from practical experiences shared by the alums, because then alums have a feeling of giving back much more than anybody else coming and giving their feelings to us or learnings to us. So it is always good, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you. And it's so nice. I mean, when a student says that, the thing that you valued most when you were on campus, I think that's the message that, prospective students wants to hear most, more than what we say. So thanks for that. So since you mentioned about campus, why don't we start from there? So you spent 2 years with us, and you seem to have had a good time. So what led you to come to doing an MBA, full time, especially when you are from a family business, even otherwise? Yeah.
Yeah, so let me just start from where we come from. And so I am a Gujarati by birth, and Gujarat is known for its businesses and mostly for the family business orientation that the society has here. The the reason for me to select MBA came after my graduation. So I did my graduation in product and operations management. So I am more of a process driven businesses and all those things, which uh, which I'll come to the point later, because the processes and the systems actually are in place in any family business since back, and it is either because of a need or a want of the family. So any typical Gujarati household would always want their kids to start early, in the businesses, not invest their time entirely into the business, but gradually start to know about the business, and that is where we come from. Now, when I did my graduation, I for a period of 1 year, say, I started with my family business. So I used to do door-to-door marketing kind of thing, because we are into manufacturing of engineering items. So this is basically B2B business. So you have to visit the client locations and everything. So during that 1 year, I traveled entire Northeast and North. selling my products everywhere, going to far off places, tribal areas, distant locations in Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Odisha, uh, majorly power plants and coal plants and everywhere. That is where I came to know about myself. So the learning there was that there needs to be uh, many system overhauling requirement in the current set of business processes that we had at the moment. So during that 1 year stint at the family business, um, I thought it would be great if we do if I go and do value addition on myself and then come back and do sort things out. And the other learning that we had during our undergraduation was the same, that if you would really want to scale up things, you'll need professional management to do it, and strategize things properly. So again, I also got a job right out of the uh, graduation, but again declined that consulting with the father. um, it was directly a cost benefit analysis, the salary that I was getting and the salary that I would be getting at my own place. So now money is also a very important topic in the family business as well, because there you cannot have HR managers. So we'll come to that later in the second part.
Yeah.
So that is how it has been. So now once I decided to get into MBA, I wanted a program or a exposure uh, which gave me a real cutting edge. I always value practical experiences more, practical meetings more, rather than social media or virtual thing. Because during the time that we were studying, I was studying, we only had that. So that is why we valued it, and that is where I selected only a few campuses where I applied, and I wanted a campus where hands-on student-driven things should have happened, and that is the best thing that ever happened to me. That Great Lakes provided everything to the students and asked students to do it. So it is always good when you have a student council, you have different councils taking decisions for the batch and everything. That is where you come to know how the consensus building needs to happen, how the resources needs to be allocated, because every game is consensus and resource allocation, to be very clear.
Yes.
And right from any businesses, the people above the hierarchy at the top only decide what is to be allocated where, because it is then up to the people to do it. So these were the few things, and this did not come to me when I was in the process. I had good mentors who guided me that going probably to Great Lakes or any other B schools, any campus which is student driven would be much more helpful.
Good.
So
That's interesting.
then we started and got into Great Lakes, and
Very nice.
that is how the journey has been.
Sounds very exciting. I mean, it's always interesting to see, because we hear that, Gujaratis don't need to be taught business. I mean, in fact, we have to learn business from them, because, it's in the blood, right? So it's interesting how you bring this perspective of why that, that additional knowledge, that new emerging trends, that mentoring, the student-led actions. Those are very interesting perspectives why somebody, though from a business background, might benefit from a learning experience. Interesting. So, Hari, tell me, after all of this, you came here, you did a lot of things on campus, and then you briefly did work before you jumped to your family business. Uh, just quick decisions on why, and focus more on why you decided to get back to family business so quickly.
Yeah, so again, many factors played a role in this. So, as I would also touch upon this topic later, because it is very close to me, I think anybody joining any program anywhere would rather work on themselves first and discover what they want from the uh, the course or the stream that they are choosing or the actions that they are taking. So if they know themselves, then it becomes easier for them, because decisions, I feel that decisions are like, once they are taken, you have to be with them. So uh, you rather love those decisions and do it, and start working on it. So the factors that led, so right out of the campus, I got placed in a consulting firm. Into the role in the first week itself, I got to know about myself, and I realized that this role is not for me, because I am a voracious reader, and I used to spend my time only in the consulting firm's library. So my manager had a problem that why are you sitting there and doing the work? So, and again, coming from a background where we are taught percentages first, so I always wanted autonomy, because I crave autonomy in terms of making the business decisions, or decisions of my life. Because what happens is, um, I know myself that I want efficiency and speed, because that is inherent qualities that I have. I may be wrong, I may fail fast, I may fail early, but I always go with the first available option. I'm swift in my decisions. So these are the things that I knew about myself. So
Okay.
I came to know in the first week itself that this is not going to work. But still, I gave time to myself. And the other and the major factor was the food, because we like food, and staying in Gurgaon and being a vegetarian, and it was very hard for me. And so that was
Okay.
another primary thing. So I was on the hunt for a good role, and I always wanted a good boss rather than a good salary or a good role. I was agnostic to roles. So I said I want a good boss, a
Okay.
boss who can really push me harder and push me into anything that I have not known.
Okay.
So because bosses are very important, uh,
True.
and similarly, the first, so I cannot say the first wife, but wife and the first boss are very important. So I I wanted a good boss. So my mentor, I had a mentor, and who guided me in
I
the
do.
entire process. Yeah. So I again went back to him. I again now just to be sure, the mentor is not from the family.
Right.
He's an outsider, working with a very larger group. Again, a family-driven group, but professionally managed group. And so I got a very good knowledge and vision from him as to what or how the thing should be. And that is where I got to know about the role with a pharmaceutical major here in Ahmedabad. So the role was very challenging. We had to set up a hospital, a chain of hospitals, so to say, and work with the government in and out, and get the clinical trials and all those things done. So the role was very challenging, and I thought this would be a good regime to work with, and it would be good flex of muscles. So I quickly took the decision. I even did not inform the family about it. So I resigned, and the day I landed here in Ahmedabad, that is when I told my mother and father that I will be staying here now. I will not be going back to Gurgaon. So uh, it it came a huge surprise to everybody that why you are getting all these things done so quickly, take some time, and all those things happen. But I was very clear in my thing. the salary hit that I took was almost 50%. So just to be clear on that part, because it was very strategic choice by me that I wanted to work, and I want to work with a good person, and that is why I came back. We started with the operations, and then to my luck, COVID hit the country. At the point, our hospital had just started. There was no operations manager, so to say, in the entire team. And I was dealing with government, I was dealing with the marketing, I was dealing with the internal operations as well. And that is when my management told me that let's promote you to chief operating officer. So in the midst of COVID, I was promoted to the chair of chief operating officer with a designation of assistant manager, because again, if the title would have been changed, the salary would have been revised.
Yeah.
So again, Gujarati businesses being Gujarati, they gave me, and they poised a lot of faith in me that
Yeah.
you can handle it, you handle it, man. But again, the challenge was the staff. There was a staff of 70 people reporting to me at the age of 25, 26 years old, and say a 50-year doctor reporting to you would have ego issues.
Yeah.
Again, doctor being doctors, they are epitome of knowledge, and they have all the skills, they have all the education, and it's like they're regarded as next to God, because they are saving people day in and day out. But again, dealing with the management issues and a bridge between management and doctors is very tough, because you
Yeah.
balance everything out. So that role provided me strong foundation, because again, if we look at and correlate with the family scenario, it is the same thing. You have to when you said balancing growth and
Sustainability.
sustainability. So growth and sustainable growth comes to efficiency only. And
Yeah.
for efficiency, you need to think in managerial terms. And that is where professional courses make a lot of impact,
Okay.
because growth will come. And that is an external factor also,
Yeah.
and an uncertain factor.
Yeah.
Now, the certain factor that you can control and you can operate is your costs. That's it. And that can come from your professional technical knowledge.
Yeah.
And
Now, sorry to interrupt you, Hari. Since you mentioned something interesting, I just want to nudge you to say something more about that. Now that you kind of had this very interesting and sort of experience, which gave you a lot of interesting stuff, how did you bring this into your family business when you joined in? So, what did you do in your family business when you came in? And also tell us a little bit, very like in a few sentences, what your family business is, so everyone understands what you did.
yeah,
So that'll be
yes,
helpful.
yes.
Yeah.
So this is into manufacturing of centrifugal pumps, centrifugal process pumps. So the process pumps are a very critical component. It is said to be the heart of the any manufacturing plant or anything that needs a manufacturing unit. So you can have machines, you can have everything, but if you don't have a pump to uh, uh, pump the blood into the system. So pumps are very much essential components in any manufacturing processes. We serve to 34 different industries, so you need a varied, very horizontal knowledge about the processes in different industries, say fertilizer management, chemical manufacturing, oil manufacturing, food manufacturing, everything. So you need to be very process oriented, and you need to be knowledgeable about it. So that is the manufacturing business that we have. Now, coming to the second part of the question as to
How
what
did you use
changed.
this knowledge?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Your
yes.
family business.
So, as I said previously, uh, during the stint of marketing that I did in the 1 year after graduation, I have a habit of noting down points. So, uh, knowing, so I have a clear cut agenda set. that what am I good at, what am I lacking, what the CEO of my company is lacking, which is my father. So you need to be critical first about your family again. You need to be critical about your business processes, and you have to invert the problem. So whenever you are dealing with family businesses, you are day in and day out with the same set of people.
Yes.
The mindset that you develop once you are out of your home. So the thing that we do is, I travel alone, my father travels alone. So this is the typical thing that you will find in every family business, that each and every family member travels alone. They do not travel together to their workplaces or come back from the workplaces, because that travel time is very much crucial to inculcate the thoughts, streamline it, and that's the distance, that because you need distance from the processes in order to analyze it. So you have to analyze it. Just to quickly sum up that, you need to know yourself first, and for that you need to analyze, and you need to know the business processes that also need analysis, and analysis can only happen when you are away from the system. Yeah. So when you want to be away from the system, so whenever I was in MBA program, whenever I was working with somebody else, I was continuously analyzing the business processes at that uh, uh, very much organization, or what am I being taught at the program, and what are my current processes. And that is where my 1 year stint with my business came in very handy for me, because I could correlate the things.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. So interesting. Now tell me, I mean, you have a nice business that is running. You've joined your family business. You're trying to grow it. You're working with your dad. You're learning a lot. What led you to actually think of something so dramatic? I mean, you started a completely unrelated, business. So tell us a little bit about this, and why did you do that? And how did your family react to it?
Yeah. So again, coming back to what I had previously also said, everybody needs to have their own identity. Identity in terms of what you work on, identity in terms of how you work, and the next leg of growth. So now, my father is a hardcore engineer. He is not a professional manager, but yet he manages the organization. And it is said that all good managers are mostly technical. They are not managerial by nature. But all good CEOs and all top CEOs, even if they are from the family, they have a very horizontal mindset, not a vertical mindset. Vertical in terms of depth.
Yeah.
So any technical person is very vertical. They talk about their product. They talk about the details of the product. Any leader, any top CEO of the, whether from the family or otherwise, would talk about the distribution part of it, the horizontal aspects part of it. They would not go deeper into the product.
Yeah.
They'll talk on the outer shells of the product. And I realized during that point in time that if the business is running, the operations are set, processes are set, hierarchy is set, the workflow is set, everything is set, people are set. So you cannot come overnight and change those things. And the main part is you need to identify the next leg of growth. Where would it come from, and how would it come? So I was given that again. I quote Dhirubhai in this, that uh, Dhirubhai, when Mukesh Ambani came back to the business, and Mukesh Ambani went back to Dhirubhai and asked one day, Father, what do I need to do now? I have completed everything, and now I've come back. You give me some work. So he said, if I were to give you work, then you will be a manager. So you have to identify what you need to do here it's a sandbox for you, and you figure it out how to do it and why to do it and when to do it, because ultimately you are owner, you are responsible. Family businesses are all about this thing. You have a sandbox with you. You have to play very carefully with it. You cannot be because you means you cannot be very casual about it. You have to be very serious about it, because there are emotions involved and there are values involved in it.
Right.
So that is the most important aspect. So the next leg of growth, as I identified, was in foods business, and I decided that let's try and experiment with a new model with a family ownership and professional management driven organization. And I took that inspiration from Asian Paints.
Okay.
So that is how it is, and that is how we have structured the business again. The new business is owned by the family, again not by our family, but it's a partnership between a different set of people, and we professionally run it, and there are managers who run it.
Very interesting. So now you're talking about managing two completely different sorts of businesses. On one, where you are clearly the owner, you have control, you own it, you manage it, you run it, you work hands on. On the other side is a business where you started saying clearly we want to just be the family owners, but we want it to be run professionally. So how do you straddle these two worlds? Like how do you spend time here and there? What do you do here and what you don't do there? Just give us one or two examples which are interesting. That'll be fun to hear.
Yes, so in the family driven organization, you don't decide what gifts you give to the employees, and which tea or which coffee comes to you every day, and what time of the day, but you do decide on how much the cup size would be, and what amount of tea, and at what time it needs to be given, and how much in what frequency it needs to be given to the employee. You do everything there in the business where you have the control. So this is the difference of decisions that you take. But that was on a lighter tone, but yes, there are here in the family driven businesses, it is more of relationships. It is everything is relationship building, relationship management, relationship valuation. Everything is based on relationships, which the family has started, nurtured it over the decades, and set up. And that is where managing growth and sustainability becomes a very important thing, because growth can come from efficiency. And for you to be efficient, there is always a new player entering with a low cost model in today's life. And what happens is you have seen a lot of such kind of people coming in and going out of the business. And you, when you have entered the business, there are you feel that let me just quickly switch the vendor and you will get efficient results the next quarter.
Right.
And that is where the resource allocation comes into play, that you are the owner, you will be responsible for the results, but you have to nurture the relationships. So my vendor for last 17 years for a very critical product in a engineering firm, today that price I'm getting at, say, suppose 150 rupees a product. There are 10 units that go into every unit that is produced. Now the similar brand, similar product is available for 65 rupees in the market. But that product comes from Vietnam or any other country that is producing it cheaply, not to not speaking about the quality of the country or the manufacturing process part of it, but there is a cost implication of more than 60% now, close to 60%. So imagine the kind of decision. I cannot go in and just simply cut off the relationship of last 17 years. So you need to be very patient. with the people. You need to be patient with the processes. You need to allow the time to pass, the processes to happen, and then probably check where the costs can be controlled or anything. Because the mindset that the family or any businesses in general should have is, you should always focus on the costs. You should
Right.
never focus on the market, because market is not in control, costs are in your control. So I'll always speak about costs.
Interesting.
So that is where, so balancing relationships is very much important.
A critical thing. Yeah.
And in the other side of the business, we are setting up everything. So we can be ruthless, we can be very competitive in terms of selecting, we can be very choosy, because it's a new start. But yes, again, we need to start those relationships there, because eventually those will become larger trees in time to come.
How did you find this new opportunity? I mean, it's so unrelated to your family business.
Yeah.
So, how did you find this? I mean, what gap, or how did you notice this as a good opportunity?
Yes. So that's a very interesting question, and thank you for asking that, because that is where the sustainability part will come in. So pure foods, or say people in general today do not have time to eat raw things, or the things that are naturally available, which doesn't need any processing. Uh, Say take examples of your fruits and vegetables. So people nowadays do not buy, cut, peel, sort, and cook. People want everything to happen at somebody else's places and then come to your table. So you don't know the entire supply chain of the products. And in India, we have found this that India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world. And we are also one of the largest waste generators. So in terms of fruits and F&B segment, 45% of our produce is wasted at the farm gate or at different levels of the supply chain till it reaches mandi. There are different compulsions in the system by different players, and the market also plays a huge role in this wastage. Now, that gap is very huge. Now, people who are at our army, people who are at our army checkposts or guarding our borders, people who are in space, people who are in far off desert lands, people who are in the city but don't have the time to eat good. These all category of people need better solutions for their pure foods. Now take example of any student that is coming, or any person that is traveling by metro. Once they are out of their office and they're going back home, they're craving something, but they cannot have any pure fruit or anything in the metro or during the commutation. That is where our Nectar Superfoods come in. It's a very sustainable brand. Freeze drying is the technology that we use. It secures the nutrition, increases the shelf life, the color, taste, texture, everything gets locked in. And it is very travel friendly. So you can take your apple, your banana, your favorite fruit anywhere, everywhere that you can possibly imagine. Either it is a far off desert land, or on the army checkpost in Siachen at the altitude that they are in. They can have it anywhere and anywhere. So that is a very sustainable option for us.
Very, very interesting business, and I'm sure this is out for scale. So good luck with that anyway, once again. But it was very, very interesting listening to you and about your experiences, especially, finishing an MBA, moving into family business, and then starting something so unrelated. I took away a few things which I want to summarize for the sake of our attendees today, which are interesting. I think one of the things you harped a lot about was this idea of knowing oneself and their identity, because at the end of the day, it's a human need to have identity. it's best that you identify who you are, what are your strengths, and then play to them. So that's wonderful. Second is this idea of, like a sandbox, where, you have the benefit of experimenting with new ideas and not quickly jumping to just taking on a job and settling down like an employee, but putting on your entrepreneur hat and, experimenting in a safe zone, which is what a sandbox is. And thanks also for giving some interesting examples. When you were talking about consequences and owning of decisions, I was reminded of my favorite author, Ruskin Bond. And one of his books, one of my favorite of his, he says life is all about consequences. It's not about choices. Because he says once you take a choice, all the consequences, you have to own it up. There is no other way. So I kind of related or remembered that when you mentioned about living up to, your choices and being confident and, living through it. There are a number of interesting things you mentioned about autonomy, having a mentor. You seem to be a lucky one to have one because a lot of search for it. So I think that's interesting. And then things like speed of decision making, working with government. And these are some things that are really, really important. And also, how do you manage social relationships when it comes to vendors and things like that? So I think it's a very well-rounded, interesting set of experiences. So now we will probably take a pause and quickly see if we have any interesting questions. So from the question list, I see that there's clearly one question that says, "My question is to Hari." So I don't want to, I don't want to do anything with it. It says someone from family business should do a general MBA and work for a couple of years in industry, gain some experience, or should they go for family business directly after completing the MBA program? Good question. I have some opinions, but I'll let you, Hari, go ahead.
Again, I'd say, what is the starting point in terms how well do you know your business? Do you know the square feet of your facility? Do you know how it measures, how much it is, what the business is doing right now in terms of revenue? Do you know the critical numbers of the business? Do you know the businesses in and out, where the money is being made, how it is being made, what is the supply chain? So it it becomes easy. See, courses do not matter. What matters is how well do you know yourself, and how well do you know your business? So the starting point, how uh, how how long have you known your businesses? Have you started early or not? And Dr. Raj, I'd like to mention that apart from Gujarati businesses, the Sindhi businesses, I'm very much fascinated by them because they start very early. Any kid who is even in the graduation would carry the tiffins for their fathers or the family that is working in the shop. Sit there while they are having their lunch. They'll handle the galla or the collection point, and that is where they get the knack of the business. And imagine anybody who is starting at the age of say 15 or 18, and anybody who is starting at the age of 25, 26. He has a head start of 7 years of knowing the business. And that is where the difference will come in.
Okay.
And so it is similar to investing. Your return on investment will be dependent on the size of the investment and the compounding period.
Right.
So where have you started matters.
Yeah. Very, very interesting way to put it, Hari. I like it. So, Sanjana, just to carry on this discussion, I think Hari has made a very pertinent point. The earlier you start, the better, because you have more time to compound your efforts. That's clearly there. But I would also add a couple of more points, more
Yes.
from a angle of having studied family business and worked with several family businesses across the world. One of the interesting things I learned is that the family business is quite similar, whether it's in America or in India. All of them are pretty conservative. They value their family identity, the family respect. There's a reputation, etc. Second is, I think Hari said that in a very nice way. when you're doing your MBA, you ought to be more concerned about trying to identify opportunities either in your core business, if there is opportunities to scale, or in related and unrelated opportunities, and go deep into those opportunities. So if at all you should wait after MBA, if you've already found it during your MBA period, perfect, just get started immediately. But during your MBA, we want to ensure that you have enough immersion opportunities to see what Hari was just mentioning about. So he said, if you want to know an industry, go in and just see it so that you know how it works, how the industry makes money, what's the business model, the dominant business models. Is this for me and my family business? Does it match with our values, etc., etc.? Do those assessments early. And so the family business program is being structured in such a way that these immersion opportunities will be given to you through the program itself. This is precisely to address the issue of starting early, because if you have to finish work for a few years to find that out and then get back to your family business, you're losing time. And so it's always good you can find it. So one of the things we will do through this program is to give you enough immersion opportunities now in different sectors of your interest so that you can do it. The second thing that I think is really interesting in this program design that we are doing now for you in the family business is the importance of mentoring. So we're going to offer a lot of opportunities for mentoring, coaching, discussions, because many times, and I think Hari more than adequately mentioned the importance of that. He said whenever you had a doubt, he would go back to his mentor, and that mentor is not a family member, because they can be objective to you. You can openly discuss about things freely, and when it comes to family, there's a little bit of emotion at the end of the day and things like that. But he made a right choice of going. So here we'll create those opportunities for you to engage in those critical discussions with a mentor, and through that, so a couple of aspects. So should you start or should you not start immediately? I think I'll go with Hari. I love the way he said it. The earlier you can start, the better. So if you can start immediately, great. But if you have to wait for a little while, it should be only to validate and learn details of the business you want to start, just that time period, and then you get started. And for that, we'll create enough opportunities. Hari, you wanted to kind of say something.
Yes. So what I wanted to add to this was the exposure part of it, the exposure of the programs, and the ability of the person to absorb it. So if any person who is starting early, or you are entering any program at an earlier age, or say with a lesser experience of 1 year is not counted even as experience. It is just a getting to know things. So if you start early, the exposure, and I'm sure there are many international exposures or international associations that Great Lakes have done with the other universities abroad. So if you get a chance in the program to either get exchanged with the students there or the programs there, it is icing on the cake. You will not get such an exposure uh, anywhere else. And that is very much important. And it will be only helpful if you don't have any biases in mind and you go there and absorb things. So that is one point that I wanted to make.
Very interesting. So in fact, we have now solidified the old ESEG immersion with which has been started, and now we have expanded that. In fact, this year, some of our students are going to the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management for an exchange. And in fact, some of us are actually traveling in the next few weeks to Europe to see if we can sign off some more exchange programs. So it definitely brings, so all these exchange now come with industry immersions. So they go there, they study the classes, but half of the time they spend in industry. So to build networks, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you find some good networks, so we are trying to push for half in class and half industry immersion. So good you brought that point up. Thanks a lot for talking about it. I hope that kind of clarifies, Sanjana. And so many of these aspects will be part of your curriculum as well. Because that's how these subjects are being taught, and there will be a bunch of courses which will focus on managing family business dynamics very specifically, because that is unique to a family business. So those courses will be unique to you. The others will be a combination of courses which talk about the general management principles, and you may be doing a lot more hands-on project-based courses, because we want you to quickly find where you can scale your core family business or, get to new areas. So that's how the curriculum will be structured. We have one random question, Sunil from Sunil Rathod, which says, what are some practical strategies for small business to reduce their carbon footprint? Yeah, you want to go, Hari? You want to give some tips or?
Carbon footprint, again, see, I have a very radical view on it. So it might not go very well with the convention or the conventional opinion that people have right now.
Mhm.
India should not bother about these things at this point of time.
Mhm.
If you have earned for your next 7 generations, it is well and good. You think about those things. If you have not earned and you have not saved, see, carbon footprint is a Western problem in many senses, and we are a very manufacturing or we say a producing economy. We should not be bothered about these things. Nature has its own way of balancing things. Nature will take care of it on its own. You first build a business with scale. Here we are working day in and day out, because carbon footprint will happen. See, if everything is made of carbon footprints, ultimately it's like entropy. It is continuous. There are changes here and there. We understand the topic, but we don't understand it fully. And to be very honest, I have little knowledge on carbon footprint because I don't get time to read on the carbon footprint much more, because we are busy with two worlds. And uh, again, I have a different view on it. So
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So let me. Of course, I think that's the beauty of engaging in intellectual discussions, is that when we have multiple viewpoints and we start thinking about each other's viewpoints, that's how knowledge develops. So let me take a slightly different stance here. So I've been studying family businesses and of course businesses in general for a very long time now, and so what I realize is Indian, especially small businesses, have traditionally been very ecologically friendly. See, unfortunately, we are buying into ideas, manufactured ideas from the West too easily. So one of the things you have to understand is, like when I was a kid, when I used to go to my Kirana shop to buy potato chips, right? I would walk down to the shop, number one, so no transport carbon, right? I would ask that uncle give me, and I would call him uncle, by the way, and I would call him uncle in the local language, and I want chips, right? He would stock his chips in a glass bottle, right? No plastic
yes,
involved, right? And then he would take a brown paper bag and he would measure it on a metal pan, 100 grams, fill this brown bag, which is made of paper, by the way, and then give me the chips. He won't even staple it. He'll just fold it and he'll give it to me. I would pay the money. I would walk back home. I would eat it. I would dump the cover. Now, if you realize in this whole value chain, distribution chain, there is no plastic at all involved. There is no carbon emission involved. It is an absolute minimum. There's nothing, right? And I asked that uncle, where do you get the chips from? There is another uncle who comes by a cycle with some, big box at the back where he's fried at his home. And he comes and fills the glass jar again and again, right? So effectively, these guys created a little ecosystem within that little area in such a way that this is the least amount of carbon. And I think I agree that you can't make carbon zero. I mean, that's not possible, because at the end of the day, you do something, right? So the point is, we were ecologically as a nation friendly. Now, the moment we say, let's go to the shop and pick a bag of Lay's chips, obviously it's being manufactured in a very large industrial place. And so when it comes to this large scale manufacturing, we are making trade-offs. So we are saying, okay, we're going to allow ourselves to emit a little bit of carbon, but we are offsetting it by doing a bunch of things, which is what responsible companies do. And I firmly believe a lot of our family businesses are very careful about this, simply because they belong to the society. See, the way where you have lived is where your past 3 generations have lived. So you're not going to run away from there. So you don't want that society to be spoiled. You don't want to, disturb it. So I think people are inherently sensitive to nature, the other aspects of society. But what can you do as a small business? Start looking at simple things. Like if you are become insensitive to your procurement needs. For example, you're buying just for the sake of cost. Like I think Hari gave a great example. When something is just cheaper because it comes from somewhere else, the question you can really ask yourself is, does that have to be a decision that you have to make? Can I trade off? Can I say, let me pay 150, buy the costlier product because it contributes to society in much larger ways? Like, for example, in Hari's case, the vendor is benefited, his relationship is protected, the transport of that product is from a shorter distance, obviously less carbon footprint. You make sensible choices. So you trade off a little bit of profit, but you're consciously doing that in the larger scheme of things. So I think as small businesses, we can think of doing carbon offset in much more intelligent ways. Please do it. It's very important to be responsible to the society because we depend on our next generation. But at the same time, let's not go to textbook solutions for everything, because sometimes this is so early that the knowledge itself is kind of just developing. So I hope, Sunil, it gives you some ideas. I think Hari wants to have a quick word on this before we move to
Yeah,
the next question.
I just wanted to say thank you, because the way you put it was good. It was properly explained, because I did not have the words for the same, but you articulated it very well.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, sometimes as teachers we develop this art, I think, of
Yeah,
over time explaining.
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
This is where we come back to you and learn things. This is the
Very kind.
prime example for it.
Very, very kind of you, Hari. Last question before we stop, Hari.
Yeah.
Srinath here has a question. What's the most difficult challenge in marketing a genuine business idea, and what can one do to make FMCG businesses more sustainable? And there are really two questions there, but I think I'll let you take the first one. I think that's more interesting. Like, what is the most difficult challenge in marketing a genuine business idea?
So marketing genuine business idea needs your action rather than spending on social media and giving knowledge to people. Practicing your idea is much more important. As a brand, as a Nectar Superfoods, I'll exemplify through it because it is somewhere related to this. Uh, as a brand, you would not have seen our ads. You would not have seen any spending on social media, because one, we don't have ample funds, spare funds to bombard the market. Two, we don't feel that brands necessarily get created only by spending. Because marketing ideas, we are one of the largest B2B ingredient players in the yogurt space. Yogurts get flavored in the fruits which are supplied by us. Delhi Gurgaon has a major, I cannot name the products, but there are two or three brands which take our ingredients and is supplied to you. So this is the kind of value that you can have, and people recognize it. See, B2B works silently. They make money silently. They have impact silently. It is not shown. The best of the CEOs, the best of the family driven organizations do not come in the front. You, if I've worked with three promoters of three families. Uh, if if you if they were to come and sit beside me, you would not recognize that he is the owner of 30,000 crore company. And that is the magic of family businesses, or this kind of businesses, that anything of value, whether it is FMCG or any other businesses, you will have to practice your ideas, and only time will market it. You cannot market it. Only time will do it for you.
Very interesting. Yeah. Again, Srinath, just to quickly also add some more to this, I think Hari's just captured it really well. I think in one word, which I keep saying to a lot of entrepreneurs, is please demonstrate value of an idea, because the moment you demonstrate value, there's very little marketing required. Because as he said, time, I mean, it'll just scale up automatically. The key is not in talking too much about the idea, but in doing something about that idea. Like doing a pilot, demonstrating value. And I love this thing. And I'm also a big fan of this, Hari, by the way, that there are a lot of these business people who don't spend too much time in the media and keep doing work. And I really admire these people. So I try to dig them out and find them and spend time with them, because they give you these nuggets of wisdom which you can never get from any anything else. Great chatting with you. I think it's an interesting discussion. I hope Sanjana and others who ask questions, Sunil and Srinath, got some insights. And I hope we'll keep these webinars going with different topics. The idea is to show you the power of family businesses, family-owned businesses, their role in society, and that entrepreneurship is an important tool for a family business, because as new generations come in, new people come in, we use entrepreneurship as the tool to create new value. As Hari said, he need not just become an employee, he can come and increase the business, bring in new ideas, bring in new enterprises. So increase the value of the enterprise over time. And to do this, we need to do a whole bunch of things. So the program that we are trying to create here at Great Lakes, the Family Business and Entrepreneurship Program, the intention is to give the students of that cohort an opportunity to study and test simultaneously, so that you're learning and doing it and implementing it right in your family business, looking at how to scale it, how to make it more sustainable, but also look at new opportunities to go after. So for example, can you look at unrelated or related enterprises? How do you sense these opportunities? How do you do the pilots? How do you do testing? How do you network? How do you build relationships? And these are things that we want you to do as you're studying in the program, not do this after you finish your program. And we will supplement this with immersions not just in Europe, but immersions more in India nowadays, because you need to go around India. There's a lot of interesting businesses happening. So you should see them, you should engage with the real entrepreneurs who are leading these family businesses, learn from them. So we'll create enough networking opportunities. And through this, we hope that you will also quickly, after finishing the program, get started with either scaling your enterprise, your family business, or starting new businesses around them. And thanks, Hari, for spending an hour with us, chatting about this, sharing your experience. It's always nice to meet an alum and hear their success story. We wish you the real best in scaling this new venture that you've started, and hope we'll be in touch again, as we always do. Thanks to everyone who joined in. If you need more information about this program, please don't hesitate to reach out to our amazing admissions team. They'll be just more than happy to help you understand this. So thank you. Have a nice rest of your Sunday. Thanks for taking time and joining us. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr.
Thanks,
Raj.
Hari. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.